Okay, I'm gonna try to do this the best I can. This is the Zodiac Sierra Club Pines card. Um, it was sent or delivered to the San Francisco Chronicle in March of 1971. It was addressed to Paul Avery. They misspelled his name. Somehow that's a code. As you can see, some letters are in bold and dark, and others are not. So you would associate those letters to figure out what that code is. But that's not the point of this video. So this is the actual card itself. It says sought victim 12, peek through the pines, past Lake Tahoe areas, has a zodiac sign in the corner, upside down says around in the snow. If you actually solve this, which means that sought is seeking, or you should seek VI, which is vector indicator, CTIM is centimeters, 12 centimeters past Lake Tahoe areas, peek through the pines from the zodiac sign. Well, the average size of a postcard, 12 centimeters, is about some amount of inches, 4 3/4 inches, right? From the zodiac sign here, you end up at X marks the spot, which looks like an iron cross or a swastika, correct? And I'd always wondered, like, what was there. A lot of people thought that this was an indication that the Zodiac was involved with the missing person, Donna Lass, who was assumed murdered, who was recently, her bones were found miles away from where she was in Lake Tahoe, and the Zodiac never transported a victim. Um, Recently, we realized that turning this into a negative will allow you to see embedded images, right? But I've always been interested in that area as if it were like an X marks the spot for a map. Because it's the Iron Cross, obviously people would be very put off by it and probably wouldn't investigate it much and try to ignore it. And I think that was exactly the point. So we turned this into a negative to find the hidden images that were imprinted using a technique that was developed in the 1800s, which is called a paper negative. You can, like back in the old days when you had dark rooms and stuff like that, right? You actually projected images onto photographic paper and then you developed it and the image came out. Well, if you treated a certain amount of paper with salt, right, you didn't actually have photographic paper, you could actually take pictures directly on to paper or project it onto paper just like you would do on any other photographic paper. And if you don't develop it, it's still there. And if it is a negative, right, and you switch the negative to where it becomes darks are light and lights are dark, you would see the imprinted image versus whatever was written or placed on top of it. So I believe that they shot a, a picture of a collage of certain images and stuff, imprinted that onto the card some way, and then transpose these other images onto the top of the card or something like that, right? But I'm able to turn this into a negative and find those images using these controls over here. Sorry for the stutter. I'm just trying to get my thoughts together, and I'm doing this on the fly because I'm going to show you something really amazing. So I'm going to show you this in negative form. And so we get down to, I think it was about 60. Okay, when we get down to 60, oh no, we're into 45. Okay, went a little far. We're down to 40, but as you can see now there's images in there that changed. Let me move this back up to about 60. See, I'm moving the effects. And you just start seeing that. Okay. Okay, so we're now at 60. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this thing around so I can show you something. If I can Okay, we're gonna put it on its side. I'm going to move this up as far as I can. Let's see how I can do that. So we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna do it like that. How am I gonna do this? I need to get to a certain area. Okay, here we go. Alright. So I'm able to get to that much of it. Alright. And then I'm going to blow this up so we can get a better look at this area that I'm focusing on. So you can see I'm blowing it up right there. So we're at 200, so we go at 240. Let me move this over here. Okay, do you see now right there where that iron cross was? Now you see the lady and well, the girl, and then it looks like a gentleman and lady in the background. That's what I wanted you to see. I'm going to reduce this, and I'm going to try to center that image as best I can. I'm going to have to move this over. Right? We'll deal with that later. Okay, then I'm going to have to bring this down and try to get that in the center for you. Okay, you can see it clearly now, right? Okay, so there's the girl. That's a man, and that's a woman, an older, grown man, a woman. So now, you see the thing that was the X, or looked like an X and looked like an iron cross? In this position, I thought it was a rendition of like a harbor area at NAS Alameda because they're associated with NAS Alameda. I had never seen these three images before. So today I went back in again to really find out if there was something hidden right there. Okay. I'm going to move this over to the side and I'm going to show you something very interesting. So the Zodiac is actually a group of people. And there's a guy by the name of Albert Lee Terry Jr. who's from Vallejo. And we believe he faked his death in 1971, but we believe he's the person with these amazing artistic skills that wrote their codes and embedded hidden messages in the characters. If you turn them upside down, you'll see images, right? And also did a lot of these other images and was the person who was able to use this technique to embed images in documents that show up as a negative using the technology from the 1800s. I know that's a lot to digest. The murders at Lake Herman Road, Lake Berryessa, and Blue Rock Springs, we believe, that were in the Benicia area around Vallejo, came or started from Albert Lee Terry Jr.'s home. Because we cracked a code that had his phone number in it. And by tracing that phone number through a 1968 Vallejo telephone book, we found his address, and it matched up pretty well in terms of location and times. For one particular one, it was either Lake Herman Road or the Blue Rock Springs, where there was the phone call from Tulumi Street and Springs Road, right? Well, Albert Lee's house was actually on Tulumi Street. Now I know that doesn't seem like enough information, right? But I want you to see something. So we believe that this card was created by Albert Lee. We don't actually know why, but what I talked to you about before, about how you come to this spot right here by understanding that the vector indicators and centimeters and all that other stuff, right? Well, all those different things where things were upside down, double meaning for words, the separation to actually give you a word from a word. All those things are the way the Zodiac codes. It's how they did truncated word codes in the Z408, Z340 cipher, just all their techniques. It's also showing this embedded image techniques. This is the key card to all the things Zodiac, right? We showed you embedded images before of people that we thought were involved partners in this, Charlie and Ellen, right? So I was not sure that this was actually a image of the harbor area. Some of these people were stationed at NAS Alameda, which is across from San Francisco, which was a military base where the USS Enterprise was there, and there were reconnaissance photography intelligence teams assigned there to RVAH-1, which is a squadron of naval intelligence that were involved in aerial reconnaissance and technology that was being developed back then to use live satellite to locate ships and submarines and troop movements and send it live into theater, which was the first time ever being done in the 60s in Vietnam. All that to say that I had seen where they had used kind of images like this to show the harbor at NAS Alameda, but this one didn't look exactly like that. And I couldn't figure out what it was, but I said, I'm going to try tonight. So I had a sneaking suspicion, right? I went on Google Maps and I was like, I wonder if turn this thing upside down or sideways like I always do, right? If it would match up some kind of way with where he lived, right? And so I turned this into a negative. I turned it upside down, and then I see these images in it. And I'm like, oh my God. Now, he had a sister, I believe, that lived with him because she was the one that signed his burial card that lacked all essential information, like where he was born, the fact that he had a middle initial. The thing was phony as heck, right? So I'm thinking, okay, the house he lived, definitely his father lived there, and his mother. His dad died a year before the year it said that he died, and then he inherited the house, at least according to the way the phone book listed who was the primary person for that address in those years, right? So, and his address listing is very unique with it's Terry Albert Lee Jr. And that was used as a code in the Z408 to designate him as a Zodiac. It's really obvious. And so to make a long story short, because I do talk a lot, I believe that that Iron Cross means X marks the spot. In other words, this is where he lived. So where the young girl is, I believe, is his home with his sister and his mother and his father. Right? Now I see this other image down here. Well, I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to get distracted by it, but I just wanted you to see that. And now I'm going to bring something up that I think will enlighten you as to why I believe this theory of mine holds water. So excuse me while I move that over, and then I'm going to raise up Google Maps. This is Google Maps of where he lived at 1906 Tulumi Street, right? I was able to add different streets so that I could illustrate how similar it looked to this. So if you put these side by side, right, it is my contention. So right here is, so Redwood Street is here, right? Here's Panorama Drive. What is the other street? Well, we just did Redwood, but this street right here, which I can't think of the name of it right this second because I got it mapped out. Let's see if I can get on to an address. Well, we'll forget about it. So I believe that this part right here is Panorama Drive, right there, right? I believe that this comes down to Redwood, okay? That the fat part is Tulumi, right? As it crosses over here, right? See how it breaks over there, right? And then runs up to his house. And that he's saying, this is my house because this is where my sister, my mom, and my dad live. And that this is to show you that this is a map because it's this street right here. I'd say Toyo Drive, but this is kind of connected to where this jump part is. So here's where the jump part is. So that's why I believe it's this street right here. I'm not going to click on it to get the name because I don't want to mess up the map. So I think it is almost impossible to believe that this embedded image right here with the mother, the dad, and the sister is not his attempt to say, guess what? That is a map to my home. Look at it. I mean, if you want evidence that the Pines card and this individual and the other people that he is indicating are involved in this situation, drawing a map to your house is pretty much a way to do it. All right. I'm gonna keep this short, but that's where his house is, right on the corner of Del Mar. Nope, that's not it, but it's right here. On Del Mar, and it's 1906. It's right on the corner, right there on the corner. And again, I believe this right here, okay, is this thing right here, whatever street this is, okay, and that this right here is this street right here, whatever street that is, and that this bottom part, this makes this is Tulumi, and then see how it just kind of jumps over like right there. I believe that that's what he was trying to show, this little area right here, and then you walk up and bam, you're at this guy's crib. And that is an embedded image in the Zodiac Pines card, which I showed you, right? Let me see if I can do. I just don't. I mean, we did so good with the map that I just don't want to mess it up by changing it. So I'll just leave that as it is. And let me see if I can make this just a little bit larger for you before I move on from this situation. I'll blow it up just a little bit more. I knew I would lose it. Alright, let's see if I can bring it over. There she is. And there you go. And then I'll move this over a bit so we can do the comparison. No, so, you make the call. That and that. It's a pretty nifty way to show a map to your house in the Zodiac card. Alright, so I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to bring this back. I'm going to make this full screen. Right? I'm going to reduce this back to 100. Bring it back. I'm going to turn it back around correctly. Right? I'm going to recenter it so that we see it. And then I'm going to return it to normal. With you looking. That's the Sierra card. Back to normal. No tricks up my sleeve. Didn't do any magical photography tricks. I did it all with you looking at it exactly as I was. So again, the Zodiacs use words upside down to create messages, or turn things upside down to show you different messages in lines, right? They'll take a word like victim, and so they break it up into V-I-C-T and I-M, right? That's vector indicator in centimeters. 12 centimeters is about 4 3/4 inches. Sought, so it says sought is past tense. Change that tense. They use tense changes, like something that you think is a noun. If you use it as a verb, solves the clue. So sought is seek. Seek vector indicator in centimeters, 12 centimeters, past the Lake Tahoe area from that zodiac sign and peek through the pines. And so that would be over here to over here. And you're peeking through the pines, blah, 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 blah. And it's basically X marks the spot. And the iron cross, I think, is to keep your, or just the, his way of saying here, X marks the spot without making it an X. And most people didn't even realize that that was there. And some people thought, well, that's where the dead body is of Donald S. That's not what this is about. And then you go into the negative form, you see the hidden images. And now I believe that that thing right there was, in fact, I'm not going to say this. I'm going to close it out. Boom. A map to his home. That's what that X was. Where his sister, his mother, and his father lived. And the central location for the Zodiac crew when they apparently were going and coming from crime scenes that were local, which would be Blue Rock Springs, Lake Herman Road, and Lake Berryessa. Remember, the phone call to the police came from Tulumi Street and Springs Road. Zodiac Sierra Pines card is a full and complete confession, a family photo album of all the people it seems involved and associated with the group and the murders, has hidden images that represent some of the murders, like Lake Berryessa and Cecilia Shepard tying up Brian Hartnell, and now has a map to his home. And I believe that the information on the front of the card, when decoded, and why Paul Avery's name is spelled with an extra L, is to let you know that this card was constructed by Albert Lee Taylor Jr., who was supposed to be dead in 1971. But on his death card, it says he has no middle initial. His place of birth is unknown. His birthday is incorrect. And it says that the witness is his sister. How would she forget all those things? That's it.